So earlier on you said that grief is a process. So talk me through how you what stages you went through during this process and how you handled each stage.
Like I said, it's a process. It's a process because it's not something that will come and then vanish, go away from you. You know, when you are grieving or you are in that, it will take a long time. And mine also took a long time before I was able to overcome. I remember where we were before, where my late pastor was a pastor, that local. We decided to leave. I have to leave there because it brings memory. Whenever I see someone in front, when they brought a new pastor there, and anytime, it brings memory, and the grief, it just arose, just bring that thing into being, into existence, into power again in you. Still, it's just like you are wounded, and every time there is a hit on the wound on that. So I decided to leave there. It's a personal. That maybe that will help to minimize or reduce that thing, which is.
So you had to change your environment.
Because I have to change where we were before. And I remember in the house that we were living to, we have to leave, move. So when these things happens like this, it's the memory will never leave you. You see, it's the memory that will bring again the pain and and then you enter into that grieving this thing. So it's a process that is not just one day. We have to leave the place we are living because it also brings a lot. So we moved to another place, house or home. The Italian language is becoming too much for me, because when the children bring their homework, I have to sit them down with the Italian language and teach them. And when my late husband was there, he was doing that, and because of that, I didn't learn the language. He was there, so I ignored. I didn't bother myself to learn the Italian language. The only thing I learned is the one to collect my monthly salary, to get my that's the only one I learned. So I just didn't learn the language. So I was having challenges. I was having difficult to teach my children when they bring their homework home. So I was going through a lot on that, of that. So I have to move them. That is the environment as well, speaking. And it always gives me grief, pain again, because I always shed tears on that. If their father was there. So we have to leave. So you keep on changing things, moving, because you want to cut off, or you want to help yourself out of this grief. So it will take you from one place to another, So we came to England. I brought them to UK. And even that, I know it's reduced, but it didn't go completely or total. I was still going through a bit of it, because anytime memory this comes, I confront or I encounter something which is beyond my strength, then it will just show up. This grief will knock your door, knock, 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 knock. Even you are not ready to open. You
trespass.
just come in.
Trespass without
You just
invitation.
come in and visit you again,
God.
over and over and over again. So that will just cause you more and more day by day, but you are trying your best, because you have God, you have the Holy Spirit in you, but we are in a body. We can't remain in the spirit, because anytime I just focus, the pain just dropped and everything will be. But the moment you come in fresh, because you are you encounter something, and something that you are supposed to do, maybe a man has to do. Now I become a woman, I have to do the things of a man, and I have to do the things function in a two. I was doing two people's work at the same time, so it's not easy. So all these things will boss up and then brings memory, and then cause the grief or the pain every day in you. So
in a nutshell, like, your environment can always remind you of
it's
your
better
loss.
Sometimes you move from the so that maybe will reduce some of the pain and the grief.
And I think one thing that you said is that memory always speaks. Memory will always speak and remind you of your grief. For you, it was the church he was pastoring, it was the house we were living in, it was your children. Like, the memory would always speak. And I think you learned how to handle it. You learned how to handle it when the memory would speak. And some of those things was changing your environment, and just making changes. Like, I remember you said that you had to go to school and learn the language as well.
To the Italian school by fire, by force. And learn the language
so you can
that I can teach you guys. Help you with your homeworks and that stuff. So
I wanted to say that sometimes, if you're not careful, like, you will change your environment just to help with your grief, and then you start to withdraw. So you start to not do the things that you would do anymore. You won't go to the places that you used to go anymore. You won't, like, socially you become withdrawn.
That's why I will advise everyone. We may think that is the best when you isolate yourself, when you move, change environment, when you that will not somehow, I would say, will not solve it completely, will not take it away, because the thing is in you, not in environment. The thing is in you, not in the other, so changing your place, your environment, isolating yourself, or you don't feel like going into this thing again, you don't feel like going to where people are, you don't feel like be part of this, will not solve that problem. Will not solve that. But I will advise everyone that if you are going through this grieving period, it is better you go where people are. You be part of what they do, so that you keep yourself busy in activities, and also that will help and then reduce or take away. Even though memory will speak all the time, but you try to push yourself. But when you remain there and isolate yourself and always keep yourself apart, the spirit which is in the grief will always speak negative to you. But when you are able to go where, especially, you know your people, or you go to church, don't stop the church. I will advise you, Don't stop the church. It doesn't matter. Try to be part and more, even and more.
So, do you feel like you have now overcome grief? Do you feel like when did the process come to an end, if it did at all? And what happened? What made it end?
Like I said, I am healed. I know I am healed, and I can testify of that. Because it took a long period of time. That's why I said it's a process. When I moved to UK, and I didn't isolate myself in any way, so I have to still look for my God. So we joined the Church of Pentecost that time, the Southampton. And I remember one day, Pastor Wiseborn was that time, because after Pastor Entry, Pastor Wiseborn came as a district pastor, and he comes to visit. So he came one day and visit. So I thank God so much, and I bless him, Pastor Wiseborn, so much, because I know he has been a blessing for me and my family, which I don't think he has any clue of that. His visitation brought a great change in me and my children as well. I would say it brought a change, because from that time, I wasn't like I was before. I knew that he took something away before he left the house. He visited us, I can't remember the year, but in his service, when he was a pastor in Southampton district, he visited us. After conversation, they prayed. He asked me a lot of things, and he eventually jumped into my personal affairs, asking my husband and that and that. And I told him everything, and even that time you can see tears in me. So even it is so many years, and he said, so many years you still cry, you still shed tears on this. And I said in my head, Pastor, you don't know. You don't know. Yeah, you don't know what you are talking about. So he prayed, and he encouraged me. And he even told Esther, now I am going. I want you to take this scale, weigh your mom every morning, because I want her to increase in weight, so he just said it. And then so he gave Esther this task to do every day. And he will keep on calling Esther and ask about your mom, about her mom. So he just said it, and then he prayed. And after he went away, from that day, and Esther too was a person who always isolates herself and will be sharing tears inwardly. Sometimes you come closer to her and ask her, why are you crying? Are you crying? She will say no. But you see her mourning all the time, grieving. So her grieving and my grieving. And as for the boys, Isaac and Emmanuel, I don't know how, the way they took theirs. But Esther and me, because I know we are women, we have our own in a different way, and it can be seen. emotional. So Esther will shed tears and grieve inwardly, and sometimes you see from her eyes. So ever since Pastor Wiseborn came into our house and prayed, in fact, a great change came. And as if something has been taken away, as if some curtain has been removed from us, a curtain of grief, a curtain of sorrow, something which is something that I am trying to do myself to take this away. Even though sometimes it comes, but it wasn't like before, because it's a normal thing that even though if nothing has happened, sometimes you can
sad.
push yourself into becoming so sober and sad, and then even praying and then singing hymns and songs can make you sad, and you see, you burst into tears and that, like. But it was something that becomes a struggle, and we want to come out from that, but we couldn't do it. But when this man came, and from that time, change, I can see physical change in me as well. The change started in me, physically and spiritually. So that is how through the grace of God and through the prayer of God's people, I was able to come out. And now, I know sometimes it knocks, but by the grace of God, it's better than. And we are okay. And I'm very far better than before, because I know I'm healed from this grief.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, I would say that day definitely changed things. Like my mom, the reason why she's saying like she's changed physically and things like that was because she used to be one slim thing, you know, and
it's never like that. It's like that.
Now you're like that, but you were like this before. No. But she just used to be very different, and you could see a change, like in terms of like her gaining more weight, a change in her emotions as well. Like the fact that she can talk about this topic and not cry, it's a big step, because honestly, like you couldn't even speak to her about my dad at all. Mentioning about my dad, it was almost like it was a trigger. It was a trigger. You would just cry.
You just pierce me, you know. And I thank God for Pastor Wiseborn.
Honestly, she would just start crying, and so she's come a long way. The fact that she can speak very, very vulnerably and very raw about everything that happened, and walk me through everything that happened without shedding a tear. But it seems like there is this joy within her even when she speaks about it, because she knows she's seen the end of it, and the reward, the joy that she gets at the end of it, and that joy is her constant strength at the moment. So healing is, it's the assurance that we have as Christians in our faith. It's the assurance that we have and the hope that we have, that even if we go through a grieving process, there is healing in this grieving process, so long as God is walking with us. And yes, we've experienced that healing, and that's why we want to share it with you guys and show you that we have indeed healed from this, that we have indeed gone through this grieving process, and we have gained what was assured to us, that healing is it's an assurance.
And I would advise everyone who is going through such grief, will run to God, will hold onto his God or her God, and then God will see you through. Bless you.
Amen. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you were blessed by this. I hope you were blessed by this, and I hope you were encouraged. Thank you so much, Mom, for being
Thank you for the invite
here with us. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned
subscribe.
Make sure you stay tuned for my next video, and have a blessed day and stay safe. Bye.
Bye.